Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Big Data Show. I'm your host, Nate Latimer, and today we've got a construction industry guest, also a tech veteran, who built a solution for his own company, which is Absco, and we've got Mr. Erick Slabaugh here today.
Well, Nate,
how are you?
Thanks for having me in. I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Thanks for making the trip all the way in from Seattle, Washington, here in sunny Florida. So thank you for making the trip and joining us here.
The weather is so much better here. It's worth it.
I bet. Yeah. Not all rainy and depressing in Seattle.
Well, some days are better than others, but this time of year is a little tough. Yeah.
Right on. So, Erick, tell us about yourself. Like, what's your background? You know, how'd you get started in construction? What'd you like about it? What you didn't like about it?
All great questions. When I was young, my parents started Absco Alarms Inc. with Jimmy Upjohn, and they over the course of a decade they built the company up to some level of success. But my freshman year at the University of Washington, they lost a client that represented a third of their annual revenue. So they had a client concentration that was not healthy. Because that particular client was bought up by another company, National Guardian, out of Minneapolis, and they consolidated all of their procurement to Minneapolis. And so I got a phone call from my dad, and by June, the company had gone from positive owner's equity to negative owner's equity. By June, I got a phone call, and my dad asked, "Hey, are you going to re-up for fall quarter?" I said, "Yeah, I'm planning on it." He said, "Okay, I guess we'll sell the house," which was very eye-opening to a 19-year-old.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Or you can come make a go of the family business. And by that point, Jimmy had already exited the company. Other people owned shares. My parents still owned about 2/3 of the business, and they had personally guaranteed everything. So they were on the hook for everything. Mm-hmm. Back then, I don't know if you remember, but interest rates in like 86, 87.
I was born in 83. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So interest rates were 18 to 21%. And we were paying interest on everything. All of our bills were past due, and paying. It's hard to make money when you're paying 18% interest on things. Mm-hmm. But we managed to turn it around. When I was 21, I took out a bridge loan from my grandfather for $8,800 to buy 25% of the company for $2,500.
Nice.
And my first house. So I bought my first house when I was 21 and built up some equity and eventually started buying other people out.
So you've been, sounds like well-raised and responsible from the get-go. Like 21 and you're already a homeowner, huh?
Yeah. Well,
and business owner. That's great.
Partial business owner. Yeah. It took about another decade to give my parents a decent retirement. Mm-hmm. And then eventually bought 100% of the company out about the time I was 38. So it took a little while.
Sure. So, I mean, since you're 21 years old, you had partial ownership in a business. Yeah. I always like to ask any of the guests, what was that like immediately, because a lot of our viewers are, entrepreneurs, and a lot of them don't know what they're getting themselves into. So, just for the viewers, what advice would you give to a new business owner? I always find that interesting to hear from everybody.
At 21, I can say this with 100% confidence today. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right, exactly.
Looking back at it, the fact that we pulled this thing out, it would have been less expensive to bankrupt it, but it would have been less honorable to bankrupt
100%.
it. And so I'm glad it worked out the way it did, and I'm glad I was ignorant at the time of what potential options were on the table.
And you said you bought in at like what, 25%?
I bought 25% when it was still negative owner's equity for.
And how many hats did you have to wear to earn that?
Oh, I was the general manager. I was primary salesperson. I was the
jack of all trades,
lead
right?
technician.
Yeah.
By the time I was 28, I had NICET is a certification in our industry. I had my NICET 4 by the time I was 28. So, I was the youngest person to certify on the first addressable fire alarm panel in the world. Really, Pyrotronics came out with it. because I understood some volume of computer programming, and you know, and that's the way the industry was headed. It was moving away from, you know, solid, you know, transistors and relays and all of that into a chip-based world. And so it was very interesting to watch that transition in my late 20s into my 30s, and all the changes that came with it. But yeah, I was young and stupid, and the best advice, you asked what was the best advice. I, at 28, was invited down to the Simpson Simpson Library of the Columbia Tower Club by a bunch of guys, and they asked me if I wanted to join this thing called the Young Entrepreneurs Organization. I was like, well, I'm young. I mean, I got that part down. I don't know if I got the entrepreneur part down, and to the extent that I do, it's, you know, it's out of being forced into it, so reluctantly. But I did. I joined the organization when I was 28. So, you know, 1997, December of 97. Joined the Young Entrepreneurs Organization, became a member, and started to realize that there was this incredible resource of other entrepreneurs who had been there, done that, and who I could share experiences with, and who would share experiences with me, their experiences around issues. They wouldn't tell me what to do, but they'd give me, you know, hey, when I was in this situation, this is what I did, and this was the result.
Sure.
And sometimes the results are good, and sometimes the results
It's a lot of what not to do, right?
A lot of the time. Yeah, a lot of the time.
For sure. So, so talk to me about Absco, and then let's migrate into FCP Insight, which is your internally built tool that Absco was the guinea pig for. So you've really closed that loop of a problem you identified. So let's talk about Absco first. Yeah. And then we'll segue into that. Okay.
Yeah. So Absco between 98 and about 2004 was growing consistently double digits year over year. You know, when I joined the company, we were at like 300,000 when I was 19. By you know, the early 2000s, we were doing several $1 million in business, and I through the Entrepreneurs Organization was accepted to the Birthing a Giants program. It's now the Entrepreneurial Masters program.
And what specifically does Absco do?
Oh, thank you. So, yeah, good question. Absco does life safety and security. So electronic life safety and security, video surveillance, access control, fire life safety, mass notification, emergency call, for really large multi-site or campus environment clients. And we integrate the systems and automate the systems so that they are more responsive and provide better information, better situational awareness, and hopefully the ability to intervene in negative circumstances. And so do a lot of work for universities, hospitals. We, you know, do work for the Seahawks organization in Women Field, Nordstrom's, a lot of stuff for the U.S. Navy, things like that. But in the process of that, I was accepted to the Birthing a Giants program in 99, 2000. And Vern Harnish, people are in the entrepreneurial world, a lot of them know who Vern Harnish is. He's written a lot of books around building effective businesses, was still running the program. I've known Vern for a long time. And he asked the question, what is the one major challenge that your industry is facing that if you spent $1 million solving that, it would be $1 billion idea to help your industry? And, you know, my initial response was, I don't have a spare $1 million sitting around, and I'm not wanting to go raise capital right now. But I could spend some money on building out a holistic solution for our industry. And really, I needed one because we had also gotten to the point where we had grown. Absco had grown to the point that I didn't know every project that was going on. And
so that was the problem. The problem was, just organization, really. You know,
we suddenly had a project that we needed to final that we hadn't even pulled a permit on, and we had the best reputation with the city of Seattle, to the point that when I realized we had this issue, the fire marshal was like, "I am so sorry, we've lost your file." And I'm like, I hope that's the case. And then I came to realize, oh no. And it was just before one of the universities needed to open a classroom for fall quarter. And it's like, oh, So we had to move mountains, paid a lot of people overtime, paid the fire department overtime to do an inspection so that we could open this classroom on time. And that's when I said, look, we need to slow down. We need to stop growing. This double-digit growth has been great up till this point, but now we got to make sure we put the right systems and processes in place. Yeah, scalable processes in place that we can keep track
rinse,
of things.
Repeat, cookie cutter template.
Yeah,
that always makes a huge difference. So talk to me about, how FCP Insight works for a user. So I would really like to see the before and after picture. Anytime somebody like you is solving an industry's problem, especially, solving it for themselves, it's very seamless the way you were able to do it and prove with your existing business that it works so that it'll work for others, people in operations, people that are enterprise resource planners, architecture, construction. So, what features are involved in FCP Insight, and what are they immediately going to see whenever they, start using the technology? And let's go from there.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Our estimating program, it's funny. I talked to salespeople who were looking to hire from other organizations. It's like, oh yeah, I'm $1 million salesperson. And it's like they pat themselves on the back because it's really great. And look, in our industry, you're reasonably successful if you do $1 million, $1.5 million in sales. That's great. Our better salespeople do 4 or 5 million. And a lot of that has to do with we've sped up the processes in building proposals and being able to respond to customers. So an example, one of the things I love about salespeople is, when it comes to terms and conditions, oftentimes they're typing them out. And half the time they have not spell checked what they did. And they certainly have not run it by legal to verify that it's okay to send the note that they're about to send.
Right.
In our system, literally the inclusions, exclusions, limitations, and terms are all just things that you can grab and add on your proposal. You can also duplicate a proposal very quickly. So if we've got a customer and they need this set of notes, you just duplicate the set of notes from a pre-existing proposal that we've done. Some of the other things we can duplicate, if we're doing Nordstrom racks and it has this equipment set, we can just do another Nordstrom rack and just duplicate the entire proposal set.
Yeah, so, very cool.
Yeah, some really cool things there. It's got a good sales funnel tracking tool, CRM, equipment list, labor tracking, time card management, project management, permitting. It's a pretty holistic tool for the construction industry. And I think the thing that's interesting there is across the spectrum of the construction industry, we all kind of do the same thing. How we estimate what we do is different.
Sure.
But once we get the estimate done, we all have to track time against a project and materials and costs, and we have to procure stuff, and we got to deliver on a design and execute work.
So, and really across any industry, there's a lot of existing tools in the marketplace like that.
Yeah.
However, you're niche because you built it for yourself. So how do you stand out from what is already in existence in the market right now?
Yeah, there's some really good products in the marketplace, and especially for what they do. There's an exceptionally good project management tool in the marketplace. And it's really good at project management. It's not necessarily good at all the other aspects of getting to the point that you have a project to manage.
Sure.
There's some really good service management tools that are pretty holistic. They good estimating and accounting and all of that. The problem is one of those tools, who's probably the 800-pound gorilla in the market. I called them for a demo to see if it would replace my own product. And we were and legitimately like, look, if we're going to go to market, is there a point to going to market? Are we really solving a problem, or is this in our heads? And it was very interesting. About 10 minutes into the demo, they're like, "Oh, you don't want what we have. You do government work, and you need real-time job costing, and you're billing over multiple months, and you have to do schedule of values. We don't do any of that." and
Wow.
we're not going to do any of that.
So that was very encouraging for you. That was like, oh, light bulb, I am onto something, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Having a system that does both the service and the holistic installs over long periods was good.
So like, speaking about yourself as a solid, successful veteran business guy, you know, that people could absolutely depend on. You've scaled year over year over year with Absco since its infancy. You know, that certainly earns trust whenever people want to invest in something like FCP. You are solving a problem. You've already proved it for your own business. So what would you say to investors that would be interested in, you know, moving forward with you and really just hitching their wagon to you, based on your proven historical track record and your scalability? You know, how much did FCP Insight help Absco as an example? Can you give us specific examples?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we went from when I started in the business at 300,000. By the time we were in the early 2000s, we were doing, you know, probably $3 million, and you know, we'll do 500%. You know, we'll do 15, 17 million. This year, I think we're slated to do about 17 million.
And with scalability, always is like processes, procedures, you know, protocols, and organizations. So, you know, with FCP being the organizational tool, that certainly helped you get there, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, the nice thing is we now have 4 field offices. And we have multiple salespeople. You know, back when we were doing 3 million, like I was the salesperson, right? And all of a sudden we realized, okay, I can't do all of this. We need somebody to track permits. We need somebody to be aware of projects. You know, one of the other things I think that I find fascinating is when people are doing estimates on spreadsheets on their laptop, oftentimes all the associated documents with that project are on their laptop. Not a great place when we then go, hey, we got a project to award, here you go. And operations is going, okay, you just awarded a job. Where is everything? It's on my laptop. Oh, you mean the guy that got hit by the bus? Oh, okay, great. Here, everything's in the system. When we hit award, operations already has everything that we did when we proposed it, all the specs, all the drawings, everything. So it's just off and running. We couldn't do that if we didn't have the system and have a holistic system. The nice thing is that all of that information flows not just from the proposal, but all the way through the lifespan of the customer. So when I look at you know, an organization like Seattle University or Seattle Pacific University, who've been 30+ year clients, we've got history on their inspections going back more than a decade, all at our fingertips. So hugely valuable at that point when we're doing recurring service or we're going to upgrade something. It's a huge value, I think, to our customers as well, our end user customers. So,
and it's so talk to me about the business model for FCP.
Yeah, it's a SaaS model, so software as a service. I don't want to just say SaaS because I know there's some people who go, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah, love it.
But software as a service business solution. And it's client license based. So X number of clients, 10 clients. The first 10 clients are $1,500 a month. Then it drops down to $75 per client for like the next 15, and then it drops down to $50 a
Cool.
user.
And you just like require a card on file, or like, so it's just dang auto pay, super easy, scalable.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I love that model.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And what are your projections looking like, based on, you know, like let's say a year, 2 years, 3 years from now? You know, how many new accounts are you projecting that you could sign up?
Yeah, so let's start with our current revenue is about $8,000 a month, recurring revenue. Our total burn rate's about $37,800 a month. So we've got a $29,000, $30,000 a month hole. After the raise, we will be spending more money on intent marketing search. We're working on bringing to market in the next 45 days our free version of our estimating tool, because we know if people use our estimating tool and our sales pipeline, Light CRM, that there's once they start selling stuff,
sure, yeah,
they're going to want stuff to manage it. Our goal over the next 18 months is to get to the point that we're cash flow neutral. Now, I know that my lawyers and the PPMs and Net Capital and everybody else is going to tell me to, tamp all this down and say that's our intent, that's our goal, that's our aspiration. Invest at your own risk. I know to say all those.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously we can't disclose the terms of the offering on the show, but
all of that stuff. Yeah.
But so like, I guess, let's say, you hired me today as a salesperson. What does your existing sales team look like? What does the process look like? How are you guys finding new customers and growing the company that way? Is it very direct? Is it kind of old school traditional? Or are you doing?
Yeah, right now it's been a lot up till now. It's been a lot of LinkedIn outreach. It's been a lot of direct marketing, email campaigns, things of that nature, drip campaigns, video feed, things of those natures to attract prospects. Again, this is where I think the intent search marketing and offering the free estimating tool.
Yeah, because that's real time relevant.
Yes.
I mean,
it changes the equation pretty quickly. We know that there are people who are doing their proposals on an Excel spreadsheet. And if I give them a tool, they're likely to replace their Excel spreadsheet with our tool.
Absolutely.
It's a lot, yes, you can duplicate a spreadsheet. The question is, which version are you on? Well, we do version tracking. And so that's, highly beneficial. You can update pricing and everything real time. So I believe we will get good adoption as soon as we make that offering available and we incorporate the intent search with it. So it's not just having the offering, it's also having the intent search of, somebody's looking for a construction estimating.
So, I mean, I guess if I were to bring up some sort of like an analogy, that would be similar to like FCP. It could be something like QuickBooks. It could be something like FreshBooks. It could be combined with, a CRM, like a customer retention management tool. So you got HubSpot, you got Salesforce, you got all of there's tons of them. So like you guys are so niche specific to construction. So I really want our viewers to understand, like why they should choose FCP Insight if they're in construction.
Yeah, it will speed up their sales process. It will speed up their proposal volume. It will increase their proposal volume. I can say that with good confidence. By the way, we are fully integrated with QuickBooks. So on the accounting side, we work with QuickBooks so that we have real-time job reporting.
Exclusively or agnostically?
Right. Well, no. I mean, we have the potential to integrate with other accounting systems. We chose QuickBooks because they've got somewhere between 70 and 80% of the market. Yeah. So
I would imagine construction would be pretty traditional with QuickBooks. So but I mean, any open API key you can work with, right? So
yes, yeah, cool. Yeah.
So you can migrate the data wherever if needed.
Yes, yeah. And one of the other things that we've done is we've made it so that we can actually turn on and off. And when I say we, I don't mean a programmer. I mean like honestly, I own technology companies, but I'm a Luddite. Just like they don't trust me with my own laptop. I'm kidding. I have a laptop, but man, I make my IT people nuts some days. But all that to be said, I literally can go in and turn on and off fields on any of our screens. So we can scale it down or scale it up to meet the needs of and to somewhat adopt to the existing processes of a client. And that's one of the things that I think is hugely beneficial. We all develop our processes and they're all a little different. And our company's used to it being done that way. I think the biggest inhibiting factor to adoptions of technology, because construction's the least technology, it's the lowest technology adoption of any of the major industries, is construction. And a lot of it has to do with corporate inertia.
Yeah, and I would imagine so. So let's look at like a before picture. Let's take like an example project. So let's say there's a stadium being built, and that's obviously a massive project that could use a service like FCP Insight that's niche specific. So what did that look like before FCP Insight? So that users, immediately it's like a no-brainer. It's like, oh yeah, FCP Insight, that would be great if I had those features to help me build this project. So explain that, and then I want to get into the scalability factor. So investors are just going to want to hitch their wagon to you and scale with you, you know?
I appreciate that. Yeah, so there's still a number of people who do their estimates in a spreadsheet, or they have a one-off estimating tool that estimating tool really doesn't link to anything else. I mean, it's how they build their proposals. But it doesn't transition to a project management tool. And oftentimes they will pull documents. Those documents might end up in anything from a physical folder to an electronic folder on maybe, if they're good, a company server that people can actually access. The challenge is that oftentimes anybody who can access any portion of that file can access all of that file. And so there isn't the kinds of provisioning that we might want for who gets to see what. And so, once the project gets awarded, it gets transitioned out of whatever that spreadsheet or estimating tool was into some other format. Maybe they start a Gantt chart. That Gantt chart doesn't really attach to anything. Maybe they put some spreadsheets together of the equipment by floor or something, and who's going to start making assignments in a spreadsheet. Time cards aren't really attached to any of that. Maybe they go through the accounting system. Maybe they have an electronic time card tool, but again, it's not integrated with any of those pieces. And so the challenge is, it's funny. I talked to a multi-billion-dollar general contractor, and I was, first of all, they have a file tree for their stuff. It's great. It's on the server, except you can't see if there are any documents in any of the files. Whereas, we actually show numbers of what files have anything in them in our system. And he said, it took me 2.5 hours to find this one spreadsheet that was 3 weeks old with job costing that showed I had a problem. It's like, oh, well, that's not good. So
yeah, no, I get it, man. Organization is huge, and making it universal so that other team members can access, everything. They know exactly where to go and grab it. That's super important. So it's really just being efficient and organized. Systems, processes, protocols. I think that really helps any company to scale.
To your point, also making it so that it's provisioned based on read-write capabilities and at a modular level, so that you can, look, I need everybody to be able to do their time cards. I don't need everybody to see the P&L on this job.
Right.
I need the project manager to be able to see it without having to have access to the accounting
system.
system.
Toggle on, toggle off, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what are your existing risk factors? I'm an investor and I want to invest in FCP Insight. What risk factors do you have currently?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, again, this goes back to the PPMs. When I read through the PPMs, we might not be able to hire employees. We might not, the internet might crash. What are our existing risk factors? Personally, I think it's capital for the runway to get across the finish line of break even, cash flow neutral. That's a risk factor. At the same time, it's really interesting. Had some interesting conversations with people that, hey, if you get to $1 million ARR, we're going to want to buy you.
Exactly. That was going to be my next question. It's are you building this to sell? Are you, in it for a while? Is it just going to come down to the right buyer, or, I know it's fresh. You productizing FCP Insight for, now the world for others to use. You're like, it worked for us. I'm sure it could work for you too. So you're rolling that out. Do you want to build it and sell it, or do you want
to? I want to have a tough decision to make. Let me answer.
That's a good answer.
Let me answer
That's
it that
a great
way.
answer.
I want to have a tough decision to make. The numbers that were thrown out were substantial enough that it's a tough decision to say, oh no, we're going to keep building it ourselves, right? And at the same time, there is a point at which it becomes an annuity. I mean, that's the great thing about SaaS, right? Every time you add another customer, as long as you don't have a lot of churn and you can retain your clients, and it's incredibly sticky. As long as that business is in business, It's not like they're going to be switching ERPs really easily.
Yeah, I mean, plus, I mean, you get so involved with their day-to-day operations. I mean, the tentacles are in there. It's hard to break away from that because it's just not worth it to switch providers. Yeah. You know, especially when you're already speaking their lingo because you're niche specific. So I think the smartest SaaS companies are the niche specific, solving for that industry, that vertical. Yeah. And, you know, that way there's just no friction. There's no inertia, you know.
I will say this, that 800-pound gorilla that I talked about earlier who told us, you know, 10 minutes into the demo that they were the wrong product for us. I have had some interesting conversations with some prospects that are like, oh my God, I hate them. I'm on them, but I hate them. So that's why we're talking with you. It's like, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess like if I'm going to relate it, you know, let's take like CRMs as an example. You know, CRM, it could be like Salesforce, it could be Zoho, there's Sugar, there's HubSpot. I mean, there's a ton of them. And what's frustrating for industries whenever they sign up with a giant like Salesforce is there's so many bells and whistles and toys in the corner over here, over there, like so many things to toggle on and off. To where it's custom. It's like, I don't need all this noise. I just need 4 buttons, you know? So like, what I love about niche specific SaaS companies such as yourself is it's already cookie cuttered. It's like, look, this is what you need. We know you because we are you, you know?
Yeah.
Built for contractors by contractors. That's your pitch, you know?
Yes. And to take it even a step further, and we can still at that point as intimate as we are with the market, we can still turn things on and off when somebody goes, and an example would be like, on Absco's proposals, we want to know where did the lead source come from and what market does this go to? Because our marketing team cares about that.
Yeah, 100%.
But if I'm a one-person, sales team, I probably don't care about any of that. I don't have a marketing department, right?
For me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Like, hey, I sold it, and so literally being able to turn those things on and off. Look, when that one person becomes 5, all of a sudden, and hey, we got a new marketing manager who starts to care about this stuff.
Yeah, focus on this market because it's stickier.
Yeah,
you know, like, it's just ABC, you know, split testing.
Yeah, and now
just paying attention to everything really is what it's about.
Totally, because now you've got enough mass that it warrants doing that. But to get there, you got to get through the I don't care about it stage. But to be able to just turn that on for somebody, you know,
exactly. I mean,
a toggle.
Like just measuring everything gives you a track record to project all the times. It's like, you don't know that you're good at baseball unless you try baseball. You don't know if you're good at football unless you try football, you know? So trying all those different audience segments is my point. Trying like all those, just like measuring every single metric, those key performance indicators. That's where you learn, oh, cool, we didn't even know we were good at that. We just kind of stumbled into it. You know, it's just measuring everything is data. And that's, you know, I'm a big data guy.
Data guy, yeah. I'll tell you, and you know, maybe after we'll do a little offline, but we had Chuck Arnold from the Seahawks. He was president of the Seahawks, and he started out. We had him for an EO talk in Seattle. He started out as a guy holding the sticks, right, as an intern. He's the president of the organization, and he went through some of the stuff, some of the data that they tracked. It's just mind blowing, and with AI. I mean, and this is one of the things I'm really excited about. You know, it's like 4 lines of code, right? And all of a sudden we can evaluate every single market, and not just the market, but based on this technician and this person who sold it.
The analysis GPTs are amazing.
It's crazy stuff.
So cool, man.
It's crazy stuff. It's awesome.
So cool, man. Like, I mean, we're evolving so much faster these days.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of rabbit holes because it's so exciting. It's just like, oh, what can this do? What can this do? You know, like it's a lot to keep up with. But when you find something that just really works, man, is it exciting because it's so much faster, so much more efficient. And like, I always like to ask every single guest this as well. What do you think about the AI boom? I mean, you're a tech guy. Like, what do you think the future holds?
So I would say this. One of the things I would love to see Absco do, one of the things I'd like to see FCP do, is just be more intimate with the customer. And intimacy with a customer takes human-to-human interaction. And the challenge is there's so much minutia. Like, oh, where's my order? Okay, well, you shouldn't have to ever ask me that, and none of my people should ever have to tell you that.
Right.
You should just get automated updates with links, and
sure.
And so being able to use AI to solve so many of those problems. I mean, FCP, we just finished the integration with UPS and FedEx so that we can forward to all of the customers that information directly. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's just like automated systems. Really, where I think AI comes into play with that sort of example is, conversational AI using NLP, natural language programming. So it's so fluid. It's like, if you go to my company's website and you ask it a question via chat, it's like you're chatting with a real person. It's not like those annoying trained knowledge bases to where, like, if they ask the question in slang, it's going to say, I don't know, and default to a human, and you have to wait. And it's just like, most people get so frustrated with those things. They're just like human, agent, representative, but with NLP, it's so conversational, so fluid, and it's governed based on what you say it can and cannot say.
Right, how it can respond. And that goes to my point. Yes, I can automate an email that prompts, here's the link to the UPS tracking number, right? That's okay, we can automate that. But when somebody sends an email that says, where's my order? Right now, that's a human being going, who's the customer? Oh, it's this person.
Exactly.
What orders have they placed? Oh, these are the 3 orders that they might be asking about, right? Oh, I'm going to send them an update on this.
All you need is a UID entry point and match kit, and just everything should be there.
Yes.
Just get rid of the middle.
Yes. Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
And now when our team are having conversation, it's not about where's the order. It's about, what can we do better? What's going well? What's going right? What's your next big project that's coming up that you need us to help you design, or how can we integrate these pieces together better for you?
Yeah, for sure. So I love that. So like, speaking to the contractors, the ERP style titles, with FCP Insight, how malleable is it, and how many customizations are there to where, like, is it pretty much the same for everybody, or is it like, we can customize it, we can do different things, or like,
so
is it pretty fixed?
So we hate the word customization because most investors like cringe at the word customization,
because it's not a widget to hawk at that point.
Well, and that sounds really expensive, and it sounds like a programmer needs to do it, right? Because with most ERP systems, if you want, I need this field to show up at this location, oftentimes that is a programmer putting a field on a screen.
Yeah, for sure,
right?
For sure. I guess really my question is toggle on versus toggle off on the back end.
Very adaptable. Okay, and it's not just toggle on, toggle off. And move it on the screen display as to where you want it. We can literally, almost all of our naming nomenclatures, if it says proposal, we can turn on the editor, and instead of proposal, we can make it say bid, right? Like, in a second.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's customizable. That's great. So I guess, like, in terms of overall efficiency, I mean, you had mentioned, what it was able to do for Absco. Efficiency wise, like, if you were just throw out a ballpark percentage, like if I'm, a contractor and I've got this stadium project or whatever it is I'm working on and building, how much more efficient would I be with FCP Insight as a tool, as to not having it?
Yeah, this goes back to the general contractor that we talked about, right? Couple $1 billion in annual revenue, and it's 3 weeks to get job costing spreadsheets that are now 3 weeks old, that let him know he's got a problem. Whereas all the time management's running to the project through the system. It's integrated with QuickBooks. We get real time expenses from QuickBooks. I literally can have real time job costing as long as the time cards are current. And I think everybody who manages people understands sometimes time cards get filled out at the end of the day or at the end of the week.
But real time, man.
But it's real time.
The technology's there. Everything should be real time in my point.
Well, and there's no reason not to, because the time cards are done on Android or iPhone. I mean, like, it's, there's zero reason not to have it be real time. So yeah, real time. And then, you look at things like work in progress, WIP report, right? Most companies, if they do a WIP report, and by the way, we're required to, according to the accounting rules, at least do it annually. For a lot of companies, that's a, 6, 8, 10-day process.
Yeah.
For us, it's about a 1-hour process.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's proof in the pudding right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're just ace in the hole as you built it for yourself. You know, like
Yeah.
I think that's just amazing. And man, it's such a pleasure to have you here, Erick, and meet you in person. You know, we talk on the phone a lot, but you know, having you here in Florida, amazing. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with FCP Insight. And guys, if you want to check out FCP Insight, I'll drop a link at the bottom of the video. Please comment and ask questions. If you want to be directly put in touch with Erick, I could set that up for you. He's raising capital on Net Capital right now. So you can get involved there. Smart guy. Highly recommend investing in this guy. He's a winner.
Nate, thank you so much.
Thank you, Erick.
This was great, man. Thank you. This is a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.